Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Felicia.
What do you want to talk about today?
I want to talk about Taylor Swift.
All right, let's do it. Let's
Well,
dive
and I
on
will
in.
say, we'll dive in. We're going to tie it to the workplace.
Of course, that's how we always do.
I'm not sure how yet, but we will do it because it's all connected because it's still people.
Indeed. Well, I guess my first question for you is, are you a Taylor Swift fan?
Um, I will make a blanket statement of no, but I will also I also have a follow-up. I have a question for that, which is when you say a Taylor Swift fan, is that the same as a Swiftie? Because do
Hmm.
you know what I mean?
I do. One might even say, or I could rephrase and say, are you a stan?
Dan, exactly. Correct.
I feel like someone younger is listening to this right now and being like,
Horrified.
OMG.
Horrified. Horrified.
Listen, we're old, okay, whatever.
I'm fine. I'm
It's fine.
shaking it off. It's fine.
Shake it off. All right, don't sue me. It's not a
I
question.
know. I'm like, Felicia, what are you even doing right now? Now we have to re-record.
Well, I guess okay. So to answer your question answer, I would say there's like a Venn diagram. So I think you can be a Taylor Swift fan without necessarily being a Swiftie or a stan. And I think I'm gonna probably, for the sake of this conversation, equate being a stan with a Swiftie, just for
Great.
like ease
I
of us discussing. Does that
versus like
you?
someone who just like likes her music but
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
need the whole like Easter egg culture obsessing over her
exactly.
life kind of thing. So
Like
where do
if it
you
came on the radio, you're like, oh, okay, cool, like a song here and there, but you're
yeah,
not like in the lyrics and like
no.
defending her to the death kind of
Right,
thing.
like maybe going to a concert, like excited to like go to her show, but like again, not like wearing chunky sweaters for her and red lipstick for her. But are you?
Hey, no distance against the
No,
chunky
I love
and red
look,
lipstick.
her vibe. I was listening to Sounds Like a Cult, so I feel like way more informed to have this conversation now because I was like, oh yeah, chunky sweaters, red lipstick, and like cats. I'm down.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not doing it for her, but like, what about
Okay. So
you?
you would say you're like a casual sort of fan.
I
Like
wouldn't call myself a fan. I'm going to be really clear. Like
you wouldn't like click away on the radio necessarily.
I might click away on the radio.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Like
Um,
I'm not I don't I think her music is I think she's the pumpkin spice latte of musicians.
well then surprise, surprise, you and I are on the same page.
Okay.
Shockingly. Yeah, I mean, I would probably say the same thing because I used to really not be a fan. And then I was like, okay, I actually do like a couple of her songs. Like, there's definitely some of her songs are on my playlists here and there. But I don't really, I feel like the whole era's culture around her, where people are like, oh, I'm like a this album fan and that album. I'm like, I don't, first of all, even consume music like that. So I don't, you've already lost me. And I don't understand like, I don't understand music like that. So I know there's a few songs here and there, but I'm not really the biggest fan because to your point, I do feel like she is like a very basic kind of pop star, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's
But
great. I'm
yeah.
so happy for her and I'm so happy for her fans. Like I genuinely I'm like this is a great I really appreciate it because it sounds like a cult. The podcast is wonderful because they like break it down into like is this like a cult that's like okay or is it like a dangerous cult, and
Mhm.
there's like a middle ground and her cult is totally okay. Like is there no one is like getting harmed. There's no like people are spending their time thinking about her and that's totally fine. I'm mildly annoyed with myself for thinking about her as much as I have been over the past week.
Well,
But
it's been hard to avoid because it's just this is again early October.
oh,
We
this is coming out like today or
Right. This is
tomorrow.
October
Tomorrow.
7th. We've been
Yeah.
inundated with the life of a showgirl.
Yeah.
Now, I think you might appreciate this. I was just watching a video during my lunch break today discussing Taylor Swift's new album, and people were like, this is not even like an album around being a showgirl. This is like, if you want to take a real look at what a life of a showgirl type approach would have been. It would have been like Britney Spears, her album Circus, or like any of her
Mm,
other songs, the song Lucky, about being
mm,
like in the spotlight. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Like I will ride hard for Britney all day, every day, way
100%.
over Taylor Swift. Give me Britney anytime.
Free
So
Britney.
free Britney from your own prison, but now
From
she's kind of free, but I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation
Yeah,
for
that is a whole other conversation.
but yeah, so I think there's obviously been a lot of criticism around the album and Taylor Swift, and there's a lot of layers to everything about this, and I think we could certainly take like a million different ways to discuss her, and we are not going to be able to do it at the level of true like people who've done the deep dive, and I think there's the whole factor that she's a billionaire. There's the factor. I don't know, did you ever watch her documentary that came out, I want to say like 5 years ago or so?
Did not have the pleasure, no.
So I don't remember the name of it. Maybe it's called like Miss Americana or
Oh,
something.
yes.
But yeah, so I did watch it a while ago, but it was really interesting because, as someone who's obviously really in the spotlight, obviously has a huge army of fans who are following her, a lot of influence. She, I think, has been called on by various folks over the last, 5, 10 years to basically speak up in support of like public issues and things that are happening in the world. And she hasn't really done a ton of that. And in this documentary, there's a whole couple scenes where she talks about this. And basically, the way it's kind of presented is that she wants to be more vocal about politics. And her team is like, no, 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 we don't want to, we
Right.
won't
Oh, I
do
did see
that.
that clip.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's been circulated a ton, and so
Yeah.
people are like, "See, she really is like, she does care. She's just being like held back, and she's going to be more vocal." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." But now, like, fast forward to 2025, when literally pick your poison. There's a billion different things that you could be vocal about, and she is like, "Hi, I'd like more money, please."
Yeah.
Because she keeps putting out all these different versions of the album, and I think that's just one small piece of it, but she is getting a lot of criticism, I think, for this album that she hasn't gotten necessarily for other albums that have come out. So
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit where it was like, did ChatGPT write this? And I mean,
yes.
TBH, like, so I've had some conversations with some friends who are more, I don't know, I guess they're, I don't know if they're full Swifties, but like definitely appreciate her. And I just found some of the like arguments. I feel like the arguments, they don't, it's like a religion, it really is. Because it's like you can make arguments, but they don't really make sense. Like math
Mhm.
is a math. Like the argument that like, oh, she donates, like every time she goes to like another city, she like donates to food banks. And I'm like, well, that's really lovely. And then I do a little research and I'm like, compared to the other billionaires out there, she actually doesn't give nearly as much as others do. I mean, maybe she's doing it behind the scenes. I don't know, but like as publicly, like, she got nothing on Oprah, for example. It's fine, and but it's just like a funny argument to make. And then the other one that I kind of get a kick out of is like, she is writing songs about love and loss. And I am like, literally, that is like 90% of what people write about when it comes to songs. It is broken hearts. Like, that
I'm
is,
sorry, like that's not really exactly groundbreaking topics.
yeah. So, and like, but I think that like I get it. Listening to the Sounds Like a Cult pod was so helpful because it was like, it is that there is a connection and a community. Like people identify and they want that sense of community and they feel like she has been there through moments of their lives. And so I see that. And I think one of the criticisms of her currently is that she doesn't seem to be aging. Like she's still like a
Yeah.
teenager.
And we talked about this
Yeah.
separately. And I think for me, that's part of why I haven't really like grabbed on to being a big fan of hers because as I told you before, like she feels emotionally immature to me as like a singer and a lyricist and and like this is one of the things that her fans kind of uphold a lot where they're like she's an amazing lyricist like Shakespeare level and I'm like okay to your point I'm like let's unpack some of these lyrics like oh wood equals dick
I
okay
mean,
cool like
like
but
to be,
that aside I think it's just like to me, she feels like she peaked. She feels like a girl from high school who peaked in high school.
yeah.
And that's where I kind of like
Yeah.
have not, and I don't really want to say an issue, but that's like I guess my take on it, where it's like she's talking and singing about things that are appropriate for like high schoolers, and she is a woman who is 35 years old. And it's like, okay, if you're stuck in this period of life or mental thinking, then I get why your fans probably felt very seen when they were younger because they probably had a lot of the same experiences. Like she really kind of pitched herself as like being kind of awkward and she was the
Yes.
young girl and like the innocent and we who's gonna forget the whole like Kanye West interaction on stage, right? And she got a lot of like support and it was like, oh, poor me. But it's like, no, now you're actually like you're a grown woman. You are a billionaire. You have all the agency in the world, and you're still looking for someone to like come save you.
Yeah, and you're making poor choice. I mean, I think, what do I know? But when I think when you have so much success and so much power, we talked about this before, like, power corrupts ultimately. Like, it feels like, it doesn't matter who has it, but it's I was actually this weekend I went to this Buddhist monastery and the guy was talking about how um they've had a lot of different like activist groups come over the years, and even like the Occupy people came and they needed some grounding because they reached a level of success. And I just love what he said because he was like, even this group, like, they reached a level of success and then you get weird. Like, he literally was like, you just get weird.
I think it's very hard to like become very successful and not get altered by that.
Yeah.
And again, like people say this, and I think it's true, like there are no ethical billionaires. And I think it's really
Yeah.
hard to say, oh, I give to food banks when you're literally, contributing to climate change by using your private jet to fly all over the place. And, so yeah, there's a lot to kind of dig into there. I find the whole like again going back to the lyricist label interesting. And again, I will admit I have not really like listened in depth to the new album, but I've been getting a lot of clips thrown my way. One of the things that I sort of have heard a little bit about is one of her songs, which I think is called um, either it's just Ophelia. Oh no, it's called The Fate of Ophelia. And I thought that was so interesting because she sings about basically like putting herself as like this role of being Ophelia, but she almost like, and I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but she kind of like misconstrues the character of Ophelia, who famously in Hamlet like dies, she drowns herself, and she is
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert for something that came
Shakespeare.
out centuries ago. Sorry. If you're 13 and you haven't read this yet in high school, my deepest apologies. She's rejected by Hamlet, another spoiler alert, and he murders her father, another spoiler alert. Spoilers everywhere. And she drowns herself. Taylor Swift sings about Ophelia as basically being like Rapunzel locked away in a tower, and Travis Kelce comes to save her. So it's like, okay, if you're gonna like pitch yourself as like when she got engaged, she said, "Oh, your favorite English high school teacher, your English teacher, and the football coach just got engaged." If you're gonna be like, "I'm an English teacher," gotta know your sources, honey. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, I will take the lyrics of Huntrix from K-pop Demon Hunter.
Which, spoiler, we both love.
Love, obsessed. Been listening to the music over and over again. This is what it sounds like is, I think, one of my favorite songs of the fall 2025. Not Golden, Whoa, or Soda Pop. But yeah, we love pop. There's nothing wrong with it. And there's nothing, look, at the end of the day, there's nothing truly wrong, I guess, with like being a fan. But I am glad that we're having this conversation because it is just interesting to me when there is so much that is happening in the world. It like I guess it's like a warm blanket, you can sort of just be like, I'm just gonna go in here, similar to like what we were just talking about when we were recording for our intro for the podcast. It's like, yeah, it's nice to sort of like fantasize about other stuff and like get out of our heads and do this. So I guess that's what it's doing for. So yeah, for the stands out there and the Swifties, no shade, no shame. Love what you love. Do you? Absolutely. For Taylor, I think you could be better. That's my assessment of the
Yes,
situation.
Taylor, if you're listening,
If you're listening. Oh boy, I hope we don't get
please don't sue
canceled.
us for me singing 2 seconds of your song.
I hope we don't get canceled. I feel like, we've done a few of these like little hot takes. We did one on Palestine and now we're doing this one. I feel like
Well, I mean, here's the reality, and not to be like, all right, let's get super serious, but you mentioned it. Like, I think that in today's world, if you are somebody who is in the public eye and you have access, resources, money, and influence, then, I think there is a question of, do you owe it? Do you have an obligation to do something with that beyond just making more money?
yeah.
And what she has said, I think, in various interviews and whatnot, is like, she's like, this is, I want to I want to get married and have babies and like settle down for a little bit. Great. Love that for her. Love that
Same.
for everything. But she is, again, very successful, very powerful, very influential. She has all the money in the world. And you're seeing people like Greta Thunberg who are literally getting tortured by Israel for trying to bring food to Gaza. And someone like Taylor Swift, who's literally at the same time putting out multiple releases of the same, album
Which by the
to
way,
make more
this
money.
which by the way, which I again love the stands for it. They were like, good for her for doing that so that she can own her own library. Like, which yes, girl, yes, great. Get all those coins and
I mean, I think that like to me, I think it kind of goes back to this sort of I don't know how to call it. Like it's I don't know if it's like a mentality or like a trend, but it's this sort of thing where what I think we're seeing more and more of is that individual people like you and I and the stands and the fans and the Swifties and the non-Swifties and all the people out there, we're all being asked to show up in a lot of ways that are, pushing us to our limits. Like we are dealing with more increased costs, healthcare is skyrocketing,
Mhm,
food is expensive, the
mhm.
cost of living is expensive. Like it is becoming closer and closer to becoming truly like untenable to live in
Yes.
society right now. And we are getting blame and pressure placed on us for everything from like, it's our fault that turtles are dying because we choose to drink from plastic straws to, if PBS is failing, it's because we didn't donate enough personally, blah, 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 blah. So like all this is kind of getting placed on the regular people. Meanwhile, we have corporations, we have billionaires, we have celebrities, we have people who actually could do something who are just choosing to get richer when the poor people and even the not poor people are just getting poorer. And I think it's really kind of like, I think that's why she's getting so much criticism right now, is because it's kind of like a read the room girl moment.
Yes.
She's really not reading the room. And, if we're going to tie this back to work, which we need to at some point, or see if we can do
We're
it,
talking
maybe
about power. We're talking about power.
power
We're
dynamics,
talking about
right? It's like
CEOs and their money for what's
it's
happening
not
at
saying that, yeah.
Starbucks.
And it's not saying that like it's only the job of a billionaire or it's only the job of a CEO or it's only the job of a corporation or only the job of a regular person. It's everybody's job, but we all have a place in it. And I think that's part of what this I'm seeing this kind of divide is that like it's not acknowledging that you have different level of positionality when you have money and power and access.
Yeah.
And then if you choose not to do anything with that, that's still her choice. But she has different choices available to her than you and I have available to us.
Right.
And when you're in a corporation, for example, like we've seen a lot of different power swings over the last couple of years. Like we saw, in 2020, all the dramatic shift to remote work, and then there was the whole Great Resignation, and then, all this power was kind of suddenly really in the hands of employees, and companies were bending over backwards and doing anything to hire people. And then
Good
there was
times.
a dramatic good times. Oh, what a time to be alive. Then there was a dramatic shift to the opposite end of the spectrum where it was like, oh, actually, never mind, like F that. And now the companies were like, forget that, we're taking all the power back. And we're still kind of in like that side of the pendulum switch. And so I think that it goes back to again like this idea of power, who holds it, who doesn't hold it. And when we're talking about the civil unrest that is happening currently right now in the US, like the reality is that as a group of people, regular people have a lot of power, but we have to come together to really truly exercise that power. Taylor Swift does not need to come together with anyone. She has power by herself. And I think that's what people are sort of like responding to a little bit. And they're saying, like, look around, like your fans are struggling to pay rent and put food on the table,
And you want them to buy
asking
a
us for more
$400
money.
and you wanted a $400 concert ticket, you know?
Yeah, that too. And like separately, unrelated to Taylor, but kind of related, like I think it was the CEO of Livestream, or Live Nation rather, the biggest, like, one of the biggest concert ticketing
Yeah.
venue platforms out there. He recently gave an interview. I don't know if you saw this or not, but he gave an interview where he basically said, I don't think that we're charging enough money for tickets. It should
That's
be the same
wild.
level as sports arena tickets. So basically, he's like, we can get more money out of people. People should be willing to pay like thousands of dollars to go see their favorite concert artist in concert. And again, read the room.
Read
Like,
the room.
read the room, sir, ma'am, whoever, whatever your pronouns are, like, read the room. And so I think that's like where a lot of this, like, and to be honest, like, it's not attack, it's criticism, which
Yeah.
I think is warranted. And I think when you're not used to being criticized, criticism can feel like an attack.
Well, and every time that she's criticized, obviously her fans will defend her. But then also what I've learned is that she also uses her lyrics to go on the attack, which is
Attack.
also, frankly, very childish. So, like, take a joke, chill out. You are in a position of power. Like, don't be like certain other people that are in positions of power who literally cannot take a joke and end up doing wild things. And to your point, like, I'm so glad that you mentioned that about how, like, reading the room and um like the lack of affordability of so many things, because yes, it is happening here. And what I think a lot of us aren't seeing is that it's also happening everywhere else in the world. And so
Mm.
what we're seeing, though, which is really amazing and interesting, is that there is revolution happening. Gen Z is like done in so many other parts of the world right now that they are protesting in some places incredibly aggressively. We saw it in Nepal, we see it in Italy, across Europe, now in Ecuador. Like, there are so many places. Madagascar is another example. There are so many places that where people are sick of it. They are sick of this inequality, and I don't know how much longer it's going to stand here, but to your point, like, it's just not affordable to live here. And I think that there are a lot of states that did vote for the person who's currently in charge. And what I'm seeing is there's a bit of regret, because you're seeing they're getting a lot of the brunt of the economic pains that I think they didn't expect.
And we have so much more pain to get into. I was just watching an interview with, I forget who it was. It was a senator, and he was talking about how he had been talking to people in Alaska about healthcare costs. And these folks were basically sharing that their healthcare cost was jumping from, I want to say it was 400, or it was either 400, $800 a month to $4,000 a month. Like,
It's not, you can't have health
that's not
insurance.
possible. Like,
There's no, you have to, it's the prey approach then at that point.
yeah, and I think there's just, to your point about, like, you mentioning all this stuff is happening everywhere, not just in the US, not just in, the music industry.
Yeah.
And I think that part of the issue too is that, it depends on, like, where you're getting your information from, and also recognizing that a lot of our traditional information sources have been throttled, or, don't exist
Yes.
anymore, or are honestly like pushing propaganda out. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of stuff happening in Portland right now that's not necessarily being fully shown to people. Chicago, like the horrible thing that just happened with ICE storming a apartment building in the middle of the night and taking out American citizens and zip tying naked children and separating them from their families, right? But I believe there are still a few kids who are still missing from that. And these are American citizens that ICE went after in the middle of the night, right?
And
And
by the way, I think we have to put ice in air quotes, because, like, I think they just kidnap people. I think they're just
they're just
vigilantes
they're
that
just
are,
vigilantes. They're Jan 6 people who are masked and are literally just kidnapping and maybe
And
doing
like I have a legitimate question about now we're really getting off topic, but I actually have a legitimate
all
because I was
connected.
it's all connected, so true. I do have a real quick question about this is like so these are like people who are literally like in like un like unmarked cars, right, and vans, and they're not wearing uniforms. They're like in t-shirts and jeans and they're covering their faces and they're taking these people like legitimate question, like where are the local police in this scenario?
Well, I can actually give you a little bit of answer to that.
So
So I'm
glad.
on another hat of mine. One of many invisible hats that I wear. So, as you know, I don't know if everyone else does, but I am a city councilor for my tiny little city of East Hampton, Massachusetts, 16,000 people strong,
Yay.
and a lovely place to live. Love it so much. And we've had this conversation. I've had this direct conversation with our local law enforcement and police, and we've had ICE come and take people from East Hampton, and it was very surprising because it's a very, very small city, and so a lot of people, I think, were expecting, oh, that's going to happen in Boston, Chicago, like bigger cities. It can't happen, or it won't happen here, or if it does, it won't happen for a long time. That was not true. So we've had at least two incidents, maybe more, that I know of, where ICE has come into the community and taken people. And so, what I and others have done a lot of discussion with our local law enforcement is that exact question, which is like, well, literally, like anybody could just show up and literally kidnap somebody and claim to be ICE. And we don't even know if they are. And even if
Yeah.
they are, like, that's a whole other discussion of whether that's warranted or not. But basically, what had happened with us in the couple incidents that I know about and that I mentioned is that ICE didn't even tell our local police that they were coming. So our police found out after the fact, along with everybody else. And not, like I'm not the biggest fan necessarily of that system of policing and everything, but that's also a really, really big problem when these, supposed law enforcement agencies are supposed to be working with the local law enforcement, and they are literally coming in and they're not even informing
Well,
even after the
because they're
fact
vigilantes. That's my
because they are
point.
vigilantes. And so
So
what's
like,
happening is everyday people like you and me are literally waking up, looking out their windows, seeing people literally getting kidnapped, literally calling the mayor and the chief of
yes.
police and saying, "Hey, someone is getting kidnapped." And the police are like, "News to us. We had
And then
no
like, here's the
clue."
license plate, right? Because there a lot of them will have the license plate. Here's the license plate. Can you go and arrest the people who are kidnapping people? So then what
And so,
happens?
and again, like I'm not saying that in a perfect world, ICE would let people know, and I'm not condoning that
No,
process.
even that,
But
like,
even
no,
that
no,
would
no,
be a
no.
slightly better rule of law than this like
But
truly like vigilante justice that
no,
we
but
have
that's
set
my
up.
po- right. So that's my point. Like, I totally understand that they're not coordinating with, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're not coordinating with the police. So I'm not, that's literally my point is
Yeah.
like I watched this video of this guy who, frankly was saved by the community in Chicago. These two guys were like trying to kidnap him. And they just, after a while, they basically just gave up because more and more people just came and like was like, what the hell are you doing? And they were just, they had a car and like they had the license plate. Like I saw the license plate. I'm like, what? Did anyone give the license plate to like the cops? And are the cops going to do anything to like find these guys and like put them in jail for like attempted kidnap? Because I feel like that's what police should be doing across the country, but I'm not getting that sense of, I don't know if that's happening. Is it happening? I don't
I don't
know.
know. I mean,
Maybe I should call my mayor and find
you
out.
should, you
I think
should.
I will.
And like we still technically have a rule of law and systems theoretically in place to us. But these are important questions to raise as community members and as people who are active members of the places that we live in. But, the other thing that's starting to happen now too is in places like Portland, ICE is actually now attacking the police as well.
I
So like,
know. And so that to me, see, to me, that is fascinating, right? Because then I'm like, well, then that is just straight up civil war. Like, and I'm assuming that'll happen in Chicago and New York and like any
if
other.
it hasn't already started, and that's where I think like we were talking earlier before we started recording, and like I called it like a silent civil war because I think we're already in a civil war and we just haven't actually said it out
Yeah,
loud.
it's like happening in pockets. Yeah. Welp, hopefully,
Well,
uh
hopefully when we actually call it what it is, a billionaire like Taylor Swift. will
Ooh,
help on the side of justice,
nice.
side of vigilanteism.
Nice. I don't
Yeah.
know. But it'll be interesting. It will be interesting to see how this all shakes out, Felicia. So we're gonna shake it off again. Just to do it end with a little shake it off. That's because that's like the only Taylor Swift song I know. So there we are. I really appreciate this conversation and we'll see. We'll have another one of these soon. I can't wait to see what we're gonna title this.
I don't know, but it's gonna be good.
It'll be a great time. Bye.